Thanks for joining us at BRMC's Healthy Connections today. Leanne Dowling, our guest today, is going to be talking about our electronic medical record. And kind of just to go back and give a little history, in April of 2009, the hospital went live, as they say, going from paper to the electronic version of the medical record. And I know that the history also was that didn't just start. It had actually started about 10 years prior. This is a very long, ongoing project in building what was needed for the hospital to fit our particular needs. So where are we now today? We're looking at 2011.
Wow, we've come a long way. In 2001, when we started the project, we started with X-ray lab orders that were put into the computer. Then we went in 2009 with nursing documentation, so all of the nurses now are charting via the computer. And then we just finished a project in December with some of the physicians going live with documenting in the computer. We have about 20 physicians currently, and we're adding more every day and every month that are starting to document on the computer as well, putting their orders in.
That's wonderful, because I'm sure the transition is difficult. You're in anything in life, you become used to doing it one particular way year after year after year, and all of a sudden it's like, here's this new technology. Yes. and we are now using that. So
it is very difficult to change gears from the way you've always done things to something new.
Yeah. But how is it now since April of 2009 to, let's say April of 2011? So within that 2-year span, how are we doing?
We're doing great.
Oh, good.
The nurses are getting more comfortable with it all the time. As they use the system, they find things that they would like to change or improve. And so we have a group, a change control group, that constantly looks at the requests that they make so we can improve the system to make their job more efficient and be able to use the system more efficiently and, better document for their patient care.
Sure. So fine-tuning all the time.
Correct.
When just before we started the show, Leanne and I were talking about in nursing today, yes, you'd still have to go through your clinicals as a registered nurse and have hands-on patient care that would be necessary. But once you're past that phase, there are so many different avenues that you could follow. How often do you see patients?
Not very much anymore.
Yeah.
So I started out in the ranks as a regular nurse doing patient care, and now what I do is actually build documentation for the nurses.
For the nurses.
And help them when they need something, try to figure out and problem solve and think of how can we make this better for them. And so I do a lot of computer work now, but still use my nursing judgment and nursing background to facilitate that and to help them.
Yeah, who better to be able to solve the problem than a nurse?
Right.
If it's a nursing issue. So,
right.
Well, we brought today with us too the High Tech Act, and you want to explain a little bit about that? I can read it from here. The Health Information Technology for Economic and Clinical Health Medicare and Medicaid Incentive. Boy, could they make it any longer? Starting in 2011, and then penalties start in 2015 if meaningful use is not achieved. So
correct. The government created this act and requiring healthcare institutions to make changes to their systems so that we can get to the goal of a universal healthcare record is the ultimate goal. Now, whether that will be in your lifetime or my lifetime is hard to say. There's so much that needs to be done technology-wise and getting everyone on the same page, that it's going to take many years for that to happen. But this is all building to that. And what the government is requiring is in different stages that we have certain projects or certain things we need to have in place within our electronic medical record for documentation in order to get some incentives. Those could be grants, loans, incentives, and they've got about $40 billion, I think, the last number I knew, allotted to in the country for that. And BRMC can benefit from that by going on with our computerized documentation, doing more projects that they are requiring for their first stage of meaningful use in order to receive some of that incentive money from the government.
Which is a not-for-profit hospital would be wonderful for us to be able to do this.
For Medicaid and Medicare patients, and since we are a majority of Medicare, Medicaid patients.
65% Medicare, 10% Medicaid, so 75% is a huge amount.
Right. And healthcare costs are rising all the time. So by implementing these projects, we can kind of get some of that money back to our facility to take care of our patients better, to buy better equipment, so we can keep up with the times, as they say, and all the technology that's improving.
I know from a lot of the literature that I've read, too, what's so wonderful and encouraging for all of your particular informatics team and for BRMC in general is the fact that we are way ahead of the curve.
Yes.
There are hospitals out there right now that haven't even started, as
haven't even thought about it, or they maybe just thought about it, but haven't done anything. Yes.
So, and currently in place, now can you, what we've got there, can you read those off?
Yeah, we have currently in place at BRMC, we are working on demographics, which is race, ethnicity, language, preferred language. We also have a problem list where the nurses can list the problems that the patient comes in with, so they can put those on that in enter that into the computer. Medication lists, this is a big thing. We can enter the medication list into the computer, and then what happens is when you come in the next time, all we have to do is go through that list and ask you if there's any changes, maybe your dose has changed or anything like that, but we have your record already there, and it's not a, what do I take?
Right.
So that's a very helpful.
It's giving you a base to start from.
And then we can just build on that. Allergies also, we document all medication and food allergies into the system, and those follow you. Every time a patient comes in, we have that information right at our fingertips. We also have vital signs, smoking status. It's required by state regulations to collect some data that we call quality measures, and smoking status is one of those. We have lab results, patient-specific education, so making sure that our patients get the education that's specific to their needs and what they're in the hospital for. We also have e-copies, which is starting to make more electronic copies of the medical record. So if you need to take your medical records somewhere, we can send them by internet to that facility, or we can copy them onto a disk for you to take instead of copying all the paper like we used to. There's also medication reconciliation, and this is kind of a difficult one for a lot of people to understand, the medication reconciliation. We take that medication list that we have, and then the physicians, they look it over when a patient comes into the hospital, and on admission or when they're transferred or when they're discharged, they review those medications each time, and they decide whether to continue them in the hospital, if they want to continue them at home and give them a prescription. There's lots of things with that process, but it makes that process a lot better because it's all electronic and they can look at it at a bird's eye view.
And some people, I think, sometimes get on a medication and just kind of stay there.
Right.
And it may not be benefiting them any longer. So,
well, the other problem we have too is if they see more than one doctor, they could have similar medications they're taking from each doctor, and if the physicians are able to get in to the computer and look at that, then we won't have that duplication. They'll be able to see, oh, you're already taking this. Well, then we need to not give you this, but let's put you on that medication.
Right.
So
just much better patient care all the way around.
More efficiency. It's better all the way around. Efficiency and care, safety for our patients.
Okay. We need to take a short break. We'll be right back to continue on to find out where we're at with our electronic medical record and meaningful use at BRMC, and then find out what's coming up in the future. We'll be right back.